companies that are still offering remote work now have such a competitive advantage. They know that their employees are not going to want to give that up because they really can't find it elsewhere. And they're going to use that to their advantage. They'll treat you however they want because they can. How much can you really complain because you get to work from home?
Well, ladies and gentlemen, it looks like the 2025 job market is not looking any better than the 2024 job market did. And we have a couple people here that are going to drive this point home. So let's all buckle in for the ride.
Well, if my face isn't a dead giveaway, the interview did not go well. I've never been rejected from a job so fast in an interview. I don't even think she really asked me any questions. She said, "Tell me a little bit about yourself," and then basically just told me I didn't have enough experience. I don't know why it's so hard to find a job. I'm not picky. I've applied to literally anything I can find. I've been applying for jobs since June of last year. And it has been absolutely soul-crushing. Getting rejected for 7 months in a row. My 4-year degree did nothing for me because I don't have enough experience. Where am I going to get experience? I don't know, because no one will hire me to give me any experience. I could rant about this for days. If you like to pray, please pray for me.
So it sounds like a classic conundrum. I don't have enough experience to get the job. So then how do I get the job to get the experience? So I get that. So she didn't mention what she got her degree in. Some degrees are easy to get a job right out of college compared to others. If you get a degree in nursing or if you get a degree at one point in tech, not so much now, but those areas you tend to get jobs in much easier than, let's say, if you get a degree or if you get a degree in the teaching, for example, it's a lot easier to get jobs right out of school. If you get a degree in something like, for example, maybe marketing or something like business administration, like I did, a lot of times it's gonna be hard to get a job right out of college in those degrees because a lot of those jobs is more about the experience, which trumps the degree itself. She also said that she got rejected after 5 minutes, and the person literally said she didn't have enough experience, which the person knew that before they started the interview because they saw her resume. So what that tells me is maybe they're going through the motions and they had, or maybe the person she interviewed with had not met her before. She passed the first round of interview with someone else. And then when she met this person, for whatever reason, they didn't like her maybe. So they just found a reason to say, no, we don't want to hire you. This is something I've heard happen a lot with people close to me as well. They'll go through a couple interviews and just after the first, second, third, fourth interview, they get turned down, or they've been searching for work for many, many months. Like she says, it's been 7 months now. They're saying it's a good job market. At the same time, around me, if what I'm seeing personally, doesn't seem that way.
I'm gonna vent. I'm gonna vent really quickly. Anytime I go anywhere with my resume, I was a manager at 19, I was a manager again at 23. I'm only 25. Anytime I go anywhere with my fucking resume, these places are like, "Oh my God, you're so overqualified for an associate's position. Come back and apply for management." And then when I come back and apply for management, it's like, but you're so young. You meet all of our criteria, but you're so young. You have so much experience in all of the fields that we need you to have experience in, but you're just a kid. And it's like,
How do they know how old she is? From what I understand, you're not supposed to make hiring-based decisions off of someone's age. That's age discrimination. Age is a protected class. So if they're actually telling her verbatim that she's too young, they should be careful with that because they can have a lawsuit on their hand. So I don't know if she's just putting words in her mouth and she's assuming that they think she's too young, or if they're actually saying that.
what are you looking for? Like, genuinely, what are you looking for? I have experience as a customer service manager. I have experience as food management. I have worked in deliveries. I've worked in installs. I've worked, um, literally, I've worked as a waitress. And this is like not me bouncing around from company to company, by the way. It's like me staying within 3 major companies and working my way up the corporate ladder, which you would think that, like, this is what they want to see, right? But literally, no matter where I go, they're like, "No, like, you're a little too overqualified for us, so we're not gonna go with you as a candidate." Like, what do you mean? Like, what do you mean that I'm meeting all of the criteria that you need, but that's not enough for you. Like, am I gonna have to start literally pitching myself to people on TikTok in order to get a job?
So it sounds to me like, okay, a lot of these companies, they don't want to, it costs a lot of money to hire people. So whenever they hire someone, they want to do what they can to ensure that person's going to stay for a while. So she said she stayed at her company for a good amount of times. That's a good thing. But when they see someone like her who has extensive experience, they're in the back and she's applying for a role that she's overqualified for, at least on paper. A lot of times what they're thinking to themselves is she's probably not going to stay. And then she's going to leave and go somewhere else. They have to start the hiring process all over again. That's my assumption here, which is why they're probably turning her down, which does seem kind of stupid to an extent. And they are referring her to other positions that she's more qualified for, but she's saying that they are not taking her for those positions. That I really don't know what the story is there.
In order to get a job, I've been trying to get out of this job that treats us like and throws literally like safety and health out the god door. And no matter how many times I try to bring that up to the higher ups, they just don't want to hear me. So I'm just gonna leave. Because you can't reform a company that literally doesn't care about the safety of others. You just can't. I have been looking for like a year just to try to get out of this place. And it's like, where do you go? It's like where do you go when these places are like, like your resume is great, but it's not. I just don't understand. But anyways, hey, if you are on TikTok and you're looking for someone either remote or in person.
Okay, so now she's pitching herself, which, hey, kudos to her. She's trying different ways to get a job, so I'm not mad at it. She said she's been looking for a year. What I will say is that she's smart to stay where she's at, even though she says she says it's not safe. I don't know how much of that is hyperbole and how much of that is actually she's not safe. As long as she's safe enough, she's smart to stay there and not jump ship until she finds something else. So, but I don't know. She's in a conundrum like a lot of people are. Like the person before her that we just covered said, I need to get a job to get experience, but they're not hiring me so that I can get the experience. In her case, she has the experience. They're not hiring her because she has too much experience. So it's like we're in a market where the employer has most of the leverage. There are fewer jobs to be had than people looking for them. And it's a tough, tight economy for various reasons. So yeah, a lot of people are kind of struggling to find work. So I don't know, 2025 is kind of off to a little bit of a rough start, especially now with this whole federal mandate, which was covered in a different video. So with that being said, let's get into the next one.
What it's like looking for a job in today's job market. I like this job. I will apply for it. Gotta make sure that the systems can read my resume and add everything to it. Oh, I gotta sign into another Workday account because we can't just have one Workday account. You gotta have 20. Let's see if I get a call back after putting all my information in twice. Oh, I got a call back. Yay. And I'm moving on to an interview. I moved on to an interview. They want to do a second interview. They want to do a third interview, but this time they also gave me homework. I did the homework and now the position's filled. Now I have nothing. Job's over. Bye-bye.
Okay, so this kind of goes in line with what I said a second ago about how it's a employer's job market. They can make you jump through these hoops. And like I said, I know people personally who were looking for jobs and they had to go through 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, multiple rounds of interviews just to get that job. And many, as you can already imagine, went through many interviews only to not be offered the position, which is what he was saying. Not to mention that before you get to the point where you even get an interview, if you're lucky enough to get an interview, a lot of these jobs, like he said, they make the application process so cumbersome and annoying. Like he mentioned, I remember this myself, having to apply through Workday systems. And in my mind, I'm like, okay, I just applied through a Workday system. This should be quick. I should enter the same information, same login, boom, I can apply to this job. Not the case. They wanted you to create a whole new login for this Workday system. I don't know why they don't speak to each other, but it made the whole thing annoying and cumbersome. Then once you get in, like you mentioned, you have to put your information in twice, upload your resume, which the stupid thing is they make you manually put in information into the body of the job of the Workday system, and then also upload the resume that has the same exact information on it. So to me, that was a little bit irksome. But yeah, he's right. I mean, again, this is the 2025 market, it seems. Hopefully it gets better. It's still the beginning of the year, and hopefully it's better than last year. But he's not far off of what he's saying. And like I said, I can attest to this personally, not personally me, but personally people in my network. So just see what happens with the rest of the year.
The job market is finally looking up. There are so many roles that have been posted just in the past few days, but the catch is they're all in office. I'm barely even seeing hybrid jobs anymore. What it made me realize is companies that are still offering remote work now have such a competitive advantage. I know that their employees are not going to want to give that up because they really can't find it elsewhere, and they're going to use that to their advantage. They'll treat you however they want because they can. How much can you really complain because you get to work from home? Someone who has a lot of anxiety, I'm neurodivergent, like going into an office is really not an option for me currently, maybe down the line, but right now, no. Realizing, cool, so I get to stick with a job that is not a good culture fit, doesn't really have growth opportunities, makes me feel like I about myself a lot of the days because otherwise I have to suffer my mental health in other ways to go into an office. Anyone else experiencing this? Like, what are you doing remotely? Do you feel like your company kind of knows that they now have you?
I'll just focus on her first point she said because it was a very, very good point. She's saying that fewer and fewer companies are offering fully remote positions. And because of that, the people that have fully remote positions are, in a sense, forced to stay in those jobs. And essentially, because of that, it gives companies more leverage, which again is the theme of this video. It's an employer's job market. Companies have more to leverage. Unlike, I think, back in 2020, around COVID times, it was completely flipped. Companies had less leverage. They were offering a bunch of incentives to get employees in the door. They couldn't hire fast enough. They were looking for people like crazy. So it was more of an employee-friendly market. So what she's saying is very true. Again, know people personally. If you have a remote job, they're holding on to it because they know if they leave that job, it's very unlikely they're going to find another fully remote job available. So a lot of times they're doing more work than maybe they would have. Maybe they're taking a lower salary. Maybe they're, I don't know, they're dealing with their work culture. Like she's saying that maybe they don't necessarily like or agree with, you name it. And that's because they don't have as many options to work fully remote. If they want to go work in the office for 5 days a week or maybe hybrid, fine, they can go find something maybe. But if they want to be fully remote, not so much. So very, very good point she made. It's very true. I mean, so what does that mean? It means if you can, stick with it. And that's my philosophy anyways. If you can, stick with it. Don't jump ship because like they say, the grass is not always greener. You can go somewhere else that might be completely 10 times worse than the place you're currently at. And so stick where you're at. Hopefully, again, let's hope the job market improves. As always, we should all be steadily and over time increasing our marketability, learning new skills, preferably high paying in demand skills, especially skills that we know will be in demand in the future, whether that be something related to AI, whether it be something related to blockchain, whether that be something related to the new technology in the healthcare field. Whatever field you're in, there's always something to be learned to improve your chances of being that marketable person so that in a tough job market like this, you're the one that gets hired. You're not the one sitting around for a year looking for a job. With that being said, if you stuck around this far, I really appreciate you. And feel free to like, comment, and subscribe if you so too feel inclined. And until next time, make smart financial decisions.